This is the story of a man who built a technology worth trillions and gave it away for nothing. Today, founders of digital platforms routinely amass $50 billion or more, aggressively patenting their code to establish global monopolies. Tim Berners-Lee took the exact opposite approach. He wrote the foundational architecture for the World Wide Web, and instead of monetizing it, he forced his employer to release it into the public domain. His net worth sits near $50 million, a rounding error for the tech titans who built their empires on his free protocol. The exact mechanics of how one programmer handed over the keys to the digital age remain largely misunderstood. Subscribe to this channel, and you will start noticing the hidden architecture behind everything you click. In 1989, the internet existed primarily as a fragmented collection of academic networks. Researchers at the European Organization for Nuclear Research, known as CERN, struggled constantly to share basic information. A scientist working on a particle accelerator could not easily read a paper stored on a different computer system across the campus. Different machines ran entirely different operating systems, which meant moving a single document required mastering arcane command line interfaces. Tim Berners-Lee worked there as a software engineer, and the friction of this environment frustrated him deeply. He drafted a proposal on March 12, 1989, suggesting a system of linked text documents to solve the problem. His supervisor, Mike Sendall, read the document and famously scribbled a 3-word review on the cover, calling it vague but exciting. That brief endorsement gave Berners-Lee the clearance to start writing code on his next computer. He spent the next year building 3 distinct pillars that would eventually support the entire modern economy. The young engineer wrote the HTML language to format documents, constructed the HTTP system to transmit them, and designed URLs to give every page a unique address. By August 6, 1991, the world saw its first active website go live at info.cern.ch. This structure represented a protocol, not a proprietary product. A protocol establishes a set of rules for machines to talk to each other, similar to how languages function for humans. Anyone could adopt it without asking for permission, but a major legal hurdle stood in the way of global expansion. Because Berners-Lee worked for CERN, the research facility legally owned the intellectual property of his invention. Executives at the laboratory held the power to patent the code, license it to telecommunications companies, and charge royalties for every digital transmission. A network only gains value if participants can join without friction, and Berners-Lee understood this mathematical reality instantly. A paywall or licensing fee would fracture the system into isolated corporate databases. He relentlessly lobbied CERN management to abandon any claims of ownership. The pressure campaign worked, and that forced the facility into a historic decision. On April 30th, 1993, CERN formally released the source code into the public domain. They guaranteed it would remain royalty-free forever. Without that single legal document, companies like Google, Meta, and Amazon could never have scaled their operations so rapidly. They built their private enclosures on top of a public park that Berners-Lee fought to keep open. The visionary traded billions in potential personal wealth to ensure the technology could spread across the planet organically. Financial publications today estimate his net worth between $10 and $60 million. His income derives primarily from his academic career as a professor at Oxford and MIT, along with major scientific prizes. Winning the Turing Award in 2016 secured him the highest distinction in computer science globally. An auction for a digital token of the original web source code closed at $5,400,000 in 2021. He directed those proceeds entirely to initiatives funded by him and his wife. Society often measures a person solely by their bank account, an idea he rejected entirely during a 1999 interview. The billionaires who capitalized on his protocol actively extract user data for profit, which led Berners-Lee to launch a new initiative called Solid. His daily work now focuses on decentralizing the web and returning data ownership directly to the users. The architect of the World Wide Web chose human progress over corporate equity. He constructed an open system that transformed global commerce, education, and communication entirely deliberately. His decision in 1993 remains the most economically significant charitable act in modern history. The architecture he gave away generated trillions in value for others, while he quietly returned to his academic work. If this breakdown changed how you view the infrastructure of the internet, like and subscribe to the channel, because there is so much more to uncover.